All right, Shalom. I'd like to start off saying, Call Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harakah Kodash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and my elder Heron as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing this truth, sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, don't clock down by Yashar from the Lions and the Yashar camp. This is another Lions and News and Prophecy. And I wonder if this is a video. Oh,
State's backbone here.
okay.
Again, Margaret, I hope it doesn't come to that. And Jamie's a great banker. I know him well, but I would.
Hold on, let me see something real quick. Okay. Let's see if this is talking about this article. All right. This article pretty heavy.
We begin today with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Good morning and thank you for being here.
Morning, Margaret.
There's so much to get to. I want to start with China because the defense secretary just said there's an imminent military threat from China to Taiwan. Days earlier, Secretary Rubio said he'd aggressively revoked Chinese student visas. On top of that, you have curbing exports to China. Trade talks, you said, with Beijing are stalled, and President Trump just accused China of violating an agreement and now says no more Mr. Nice Guy. Are you intentionally escalating this standoff with Beijing?
Well, I don't think it's intentional. I think that what Secretary Hegseth did was remind everyone that during COVID, China was an unreliable partner. And what we are trying to do is to de-risk. We do not want to decouple, Margaret, but we do need to de-risk, as we saw during COVID, whether it was with semiconductors, medicines, the other products. We are in the process of de-risking.
Making the United States less reliant on China, but at the same time,
and the whole world. The whole world, because what China is doing is they are holding back products that are essential for the industrial supply chains of India, of Europe, and that is not what a reliable partner does.
so is that like what specifically is President Trump saying when he says they're violating an agreement? Because it was the one you negotiated in Geneva earlier this month. And what's the consequence for that?
Well, we will see what the consequences are. I am confident that when President Trump and Party Chairman Xi have a call, that this will be ironed out. So, but the fact that they are withholding some of the products that they agreed to release during our agreement, maybe it's a glitch in the Chinese system. Maybe it's intentional. We'll see after the president speaks with the party chairman.
That's critical minerals, rare earths. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So the president has said a few times that he was going to speak to President Xi, but he hasn't since before the inauguration. Beijing keeps denying that there was any contact. Do you have anything scheduled?
I believe we'll see something very soon, Margaret.
Do you have a conversation with your counterpart or Lutnick with his counterpart at the commerce level?
Well, I think we're going to let the two principals they have a conversation, and then everything will stem from that.
See, they that's enough of that. They don't have a clue as to what's going on. And Trump just all he's doing is running his mouth. You know what I'm saying? What puffing at his enemies, man. Puffing at his enemies. Matter of fact, let's get it started the right way. It's Lions and News and Prophecy. All right, so as we begin, like always, this is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 1. It says, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. Right? So that's what we do on a constant basis. The men of the Lord, as ones that truly believe in the name of Yahweh Shemel Shai, are constantly speaking about prophecy. All right, giving testimonies, reproving, rebuking, and exhortation. You know, that those are the things that we focus on doing in the name of Yahweh Shemel Shai. All right. So now we're dealing with this one, as you know, like last week and yesterday, I've been on this kind of campaign trail on talking about what's going on between the United States and China and how there's a bunch of military buildup over there in the Pacific by the South China Sea. So they're supposed to be gearing up for the lesson I did yesterday about Taiwan seeking more U.S. Help military-wise to help them against a possible invade from China. All right. So, yeah, these things are heating up, and the key thing this guy said, like he said, protecting the best interests of the United States and the whole world. right? But United States has never had the whole world at the best interest. It's always been for the best interest of United States of America, no matter who they persecute when doing so to push their agenda. All right, to keep the dollar afloat, to keep the U.S. dollar as the most dominant currency, to keep America's hegemony in the earth. The United States will do whatever it will or whatever it needs to do to keep that top dog status. It doesn't matter what lives are lost or who's buried under the dust when they go to trampling on everything. See that? So now that the Americans losing their hegemony in the earth, what come sit down in the dust, a virgin daughter of Babylon, and that's all being done by Yahweh Shemel Shai. Now, as you see America starting to fall, what happens when somebody falls? They go to grabbing shit, trying to hold them up. You know what I'm saying? There ain't nobody who just fall on the ground. They get the oh shit, trying to break their fall, and that's what America's doing right now. And then like like when Trump was met and talked with the president of Ukraine, he's like, "You're not the one holding all the cards here. You're not the one holding all the cards here. You don't have leverage. You don't have leverage to even talk." Right? So you know what I'm saying? So he was just trying to be all raw and said, What was his response? He's like, "Y'all," he said, "Y'all think y'all won't have war here." He said, "But you will have war here." He spoke it, man. That's what he said. Y'all think that you will not have war on American soil, but you will have war here. You can mark his words, because thus saith the Lord. Babylon's going to be destroyed, which is the United States of America, Babylon the Great. All right, so now with this article, let me see. With this article, the title of the article says China says United States violated tariff truce as trade war heats up. Right, trade war heating up. And what else do you have heating up? Um, Military force is increasing. All right, let's get this. All right, let's read this article a little bit. It says China on Monday said the Trump administration is undermining the temporary May 12th trade agreement between the two nations by issuing AI chip export control guidelines, stopping the sale of chip design software to China, and by planning to revoke Chinese students' visa. Mm, right? It says the Trump administration's actions seriously undermine the existing consensus reached at the Geneva Economic and Trade Talks and seriously damage China's legitimate right and interest, China's Commerce Ministry said in the June 2nd statement. It says China claims came after President Trump on Friday said that Beijing is violating a trade agreement, which the U.S. just weeks after the two countries announced on May 12th a temporary but significant easing of tariffs imposed on each other's imports earlier in the year. The escalation of rhetoric heightens concerns that the two largest global economies may encounter further stumbling blocks as they pursue trade negotiations, experts say, and they're not really negotiating nothing. It says fresh hostilities between the United States and China show that many questions left hanging after the Geneva ceasefire in mid-May still have no satisfactory answers. Arthur Knibler, a China analyst at Javico Research, said in a report, "It is not clear whether the United States trade policy is being run by President Donald Trump, his trade negotiators, or his national security team. It says he added the overall objectives of the trade aggression, other than the display of raw power, are as muddled as ever. Right. So they don't even know why he's doing this. It says, meanwhile, Treasury Secretary um, what was that? Besant on Sunday said he's confident a U.S.-Chinese trade dispute will be ironed out when Mr. Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping have a conversation. I believe we'll see something very soon, Bassett said on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan. They ain't finna, man, China ain't finna budge. All right, it says, let's get down to the May 12th tariff pause. It says, the May 12th deal lasts 90 days, creating time for U.S. and Chinese negotiators to reach a more substantive agreement. But the pause still leaves tariffs higher than before. Mr. Trump started ramping them up last month because business and investors must also contend with uncertainty about whether the truce will last. United States Trade Representative Jameson Greer said the U.S. agreed to drop the 145% tax Mr. Trump had imposed on China to 30%. China agreed to lower its rate on U.S. goods to 10% from 125. Then why is it just like that? Why didn't you just let it down evenly? I don't know how that works, but whatever. It says on Monday, the Commerce Ministry in China held up its end of the deal, canceling or suspending tariffs and non-tariff measures taken against the United States, um, reciprocal tariffs, following the agreement. But it's alleged that the Trump administration has literally provoked new economic and trade frictions and exacerbated the uncertainty and instability in trade relations between the two nations, citing curbs on exports of AI chips and chip design software to China. So, like, America may have cut their end of the bargain, but they threw a curveball. See that? They playing around, man. They playing around. They think people still playing with them, but like they'll say they're gonna do something, but then they do something else. This is Psalms chapter 58, verse 3. It says, "The wicked are estranged from the womb; they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies." Man, that's all they do. Lie on top of lie, man. Because why? They have an agenda that they're pushing, so they're gonna have that forked tongue. You know. All right. Um. Let me see. This is Psalms 55:21. It says, "The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words are softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords." And that's anytime United States speaks on, anything, man. Anytime he talks about anything, it's always with malicious intent. You see that? Even speaking on truce, he's still doing an act of war. That's how this devil operates. But pretty soon, everybody's going to get tired of it, man. And guess what? They're going to fight back. These countries are going to fight back. These nations are going to fight back. All right? Matter of fact, we can get this to close it out. So China's allegedly the United States has not kept up with or pulled a curveball in some way, shape, or form has broke the tariff truce, right? And now um, China has something to say about it, right? And I don't think they're gonna use this word. They're talking about if Xi Jinping, whatever his name is, gets on the phone with Trump, it's gonna be he ain't been wanting to talk to Trump. Still ain't talked to Trump. They ain't had no conversation since he's been in office. The only thing they've been doing is slinging tariffs at each other. You know, and United States threw the first blow. All right, this is Isaiah 14:4. It says, "Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, How has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The golden city that's trying to build that golden dome. They ain't gonna amount to a hill of beans. Because guess what? The Lord gonna destroy that too. You know. It says, the Lord has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. That's that wicked. It's talking about Esau, but that staff, all right, that scepter that ruled the nations with the United States. And who was swinging it? Europe, the dragon, the beast, NATO and the European Union. They don't want to put, you know what I'm saying, America was just being the muscle. You know how the mafia has everybody that has, you know what I'm saying, their different roles and lots? America was the enforcer. All right, it says, verse 6, it says, He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. And that's how America operates, putting pressure on everybody. But now the Lord's going to put pressure on this place. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. It says the whole earth is at rest and is quiet and breaking into singing. That's what's going to happen when America hits rock bottom. When everybody's able to see, because America's already hit bottom. But when the effects of that happen globally, yeah, it's going to put pressure on everybody else too. But everybody's going to rejoice, even though it ain't going to matter. It says, Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee. The cedars of Lebanon saying, Since thou art laid down, no feller has come up against us. All right. All right, so now let's get into the meat and potatoes. It says, verse 9, it says, Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. All right, so now all the hell and havoc that they caused upon earth, and when they set their nest on high, right, saying, Who shall bring me down, shitting and pissing on everybody that's um under him. Now, when he gonna fall all into the midst of that. You see that? It says, Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones on the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations, right? And now you around here bullying, trying to play with China. When the Lord putting out prophecies like this. Man, this place is going to be destroyed. See that? You see all these nations rising up against the United States. You got China, powerhouse. You got Russia, powerhouse. You got North Korea, semi-powerhouse. You got Iran trying to be a powerhouse. You see what I'm saying? And eventually, these shall turn and hate the whore. Even the ones that even the birth America are going to turn and hate America. Everybody's going to turn on this place, man. This place has 200 million warheads with his name written on it. Right? Isaiah 14:10, it says, All they shall speak and say unto thee, Art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? You see that? You see, we're witnessing Babylon the Great, America being broken down, man. You're witnessing America being broken down. Art thou like come like art thou like unto us? You see that? All right. It says, Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nation, heir of the Chaldees? You know, the morning star, the beacon of light. See that they use America to be that, and watch how America falls. Esau's going once America falls, Esau's done. That's how it's set up. Bottom line. That's it. It says, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars, I will also sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north." All right? Right. That's him trying to ascend above us. Verse 14, it said, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High," man. And that's him planning to play the hand of God with all the moves that he's making, right? But the Most High is setting him up to do that. Verse 15, it says, "Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell to the sides of the pit, all the way from the rooter to the tutor." See that? All right. Verse 16, it says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble and did shake kingdom? This America? What? Esau? No. You got to be kidding me. Right? And that's what everybody is beginning to say, man. You know? So keep looking, man. The Lord is, moving some furniture. He's shaking things up right now, man. So I'm curious where this is going to lead to dealing with China. But, we're going to find out. Lord willing, this lesson to edify the servant's purpose for the hope of elect, the ones that truly believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Shai. With that, I'd like to say, Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, by Shem Yahweh Shai, by Shem, Harakak Wadash, Ma'amah. Double honors to the old apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth, the sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessings to the men and women and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Shai. Shalom.